Hello again, baseball lovers. We are back with a brand new episode of the RAB podcast, and we have an awesome special episode, another roundtable episode for you, as we have some incredible guys who also love to talk baseball. We've got Nick from Rounding Third, we've got Chris and Rob from NY MLB Talk, and we may have another guest or two jump in later. But right now, we are going to talk all things baseball with these guys and just kind of touch on everything going on currently in the major leagues. And I'm so happy to have these guys. We've been trying to connect for a while. And so if you're not following everybody on this episode, please make sure you do. I know Nick does a great job. Him and Harrison are the kings of baseball trivia on Rounding Third. So check them out. And then Chris and Rob are the kings of New York baseball talk. So check them out. Chris and Rob, I know you guys primarily, I want to make sure we give everybody their attention here. You guys primarily use Twitter, or do you also have a large Facebook presence?
We're all over actually.
Yeah.
Rob handles the TikTok, so we're on there at NYMLB Talk. We're on Twitter at NYMLB Talk. We're on YouTube, Facebook. You go
Awesome.
through Rob. We go through Rob a lot. But yeah, we're
So you're
actually all
everywhere.
over.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, make sure, guys, that you follow everybody. A lot of great baseball content on social media. We're just regular guys talking ball, and we want to connect with as many people as possible. So check everybody out. I'll post everybody's links, social media links, when I post this episode on our Facebook page, and make sure we get everybody's follow on that. So, all that being said, guys, here we go. Let's dive into uh, maybe unfortunately the top topic right now in baseball. Kyle Tucker signs with the Dodgers. Everybody show their shocked face, right? Um, so the I know you guys have seen it all over social media. It's either we hate the Dodgers, they're ruining baseball, or the Dodgers aren't ruining baseball, they're making it better. I want to see where everybody kind of lands in this debate. I'll be happy to give my opinion at the end, but I want to give you guys the floor first. So let's start with Nick because Nick, you're the first one I see on my screen. So let's go with Nick first. Your opinion, or your thoughts on the Dodgers and free agency and are they ruining baseball?
So it's weird. I'm sort of torn here, if that makes sense, because
Yeah,
what the Dodgers are doing are completely within the rules, right?
yeah,
Now, so MLB really has nothing to say about it, right? And the fans are happy. I get all that. However, it's not sustainable for the other, I'd say bottom 20 teams in the league, right? There are 10 teams in the league that you could probably say have a shot to do what the Dodgers are doing. Could they do it at the same scale the Dodgers are doing? Heck no. Right? The Dodgers are in a league of their own. But what, 12 billionaire owners? Like, there's no other ownership group in the MLB like the Dodgers. I mean, Steve Cohen, generational wealth, whatever him, like he's kind of in a league of his own too. Those two are kind of set apart from the rest of the league. For me, it's the tired arguments from the Dodgers fans that are saying that, oh, well, your team is just too cheap to do it. While
yeah.
there are teams that are cheap to do it, I got into it with another Dodger page a little bit today, and he sent me the last 20 winners of the World Series. And he goes, see, small market teams can still win. I go, yes, right? Look, 2005 White Sox, one, done. The Royals, one, done. Nationals, one, bankrupt, done.
Right.
Right? So,
Yeah,
Right.
yes, they can spend to win, but they can't sustain it. The
yeah,
Dodgers have can sorry, can sustain for years
yeah.
because this year didn't work. Boom, we're back to buying all the top free agents again, and we go on from there. Other teams can't do that. If they go for broke, they have to win it or they have to reset their entire organization. The Dodgers don't have to. That's the difference. And so for me, breaking baseball, sure, I guess. I don't know if I would say breaking,
Yeah.
but they're just in a league of their own. And it's not, there's no competitive balance right now. Even for the Red Sox, Yankees, these other top market teams, other than the Mets and Dodgers, no one has that income, that payroll, or that ability to spend.
No, no question about it. So the Dodgers, they got a great TV deal. That's a lot of money, right there. They've got merchandising. I mean, they're going to sell a lot more merch than the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? I mean, just generally. Um, but I want to give credit where credit is due to the Dodgers. They're not only, signing these players and building a super team, their farm system's one of the best in baseball. And it's not like they've had high draft picks lately because they've been winning so much. So they've been able to build a farm system. They've been able to build this monster of a team that already has two world titles. So I want to give them credit. And I understand the Dodgers fans defending the team. I absolutely think Dodgers fans should be happy and excited. They're going for a three-peat. They should be proud of those two world titles. I think they misunderstand a lot of people when we say the Dodgers are ruining baseball or it's not good for baseball. To your point, I think it's more about the economics for the other 29 teams than
Right.
just, oh, the Dodgers are buying all these players. It's not that. It's that it's, to your point, it's not sustainable. And I pulled those same numbers not too long ago, maybe a few months ago, and made a post about it. I think I did the last 25 World Series champions. And yeah, I think there were five maybe out of 25 that were outside the top 10 in payroll.
Hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, you don't have to be in the top five necessarily, but it sure helps. And if you looked at the top 10 consistently every year, those were your playoff teams, by and large, with some exceptions, the Clevelands, the Kansas Cities. Um, but mostly it was the top teams or your dominating teams. So it's kind of a poor argument for that guy to make, to be honest with you. But, um, Chris, what are your thoughts here on this, man?
Yeah, I'm with Nick. Like, yeah, the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. They're not doing anything illegal or
Yeah,
against the rules, right? They're putting their best foot forward and trying to add whoever they possibly can to make the team better. Give
yeah,
them credit. And like you said, they have a great farm system, so they're set up to do everything here, right? They're they're the ideal franchise, right? They have the most money to spend and they do the best developing players as well. So
yeah,
they're a machine in on both sides, right? And these other teams, the small market teams just can't do that. And now even the big market teams, like the Yankees or Toronto, Boston, Houston, Philadelphia, they can't do that either. They can't
No.
spend $400 million a year on payroll like these guys are now. Nick said it right. It's not sustainable for this league to go forward. So the Dodgers aren't killing baseball. It's the league itself that's killing itself by
yeah,
letting this happen. We could get into the salary cap and all that and why it's needed. Just for an example, right? Obviously, if you go all the way down to the extreme, the Marlins, their total combined payroll this year, right now, sits at like $74 million. So the Dodgers are over 400 million,
yeah,
430. That
yeah.
shows you the difference. So even if the Marlins added another 150 million, are they going to compete with the Dodgers? No. They're still going to be, nowhere near the Dodger team, right? So I think obviously the cap, the floor has to be involved here. The what exact numbers, that's probably not on our pay scale to figure that out, right? I mean, but something like that has to happen because like Nick said it perfectly, this is not sustainable. I think that's the best way to explain it. Yeah, it's fun for Dodger fans, right? Oh, this is great. We got this great team. We got this all-star team basically, right? Playing for three straight World Series, and that's awesome. And I wish I was a Dodger fan the last couple of years, but unfortunately, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, for me, it's look at this free agent class alone.
Yeah.
What were the teams that were in on every free agent? Cubs, Mets, Red Sox, Dodgers, Yankees. That's it.
Right.
Phillies, right?
Hmm.
That's it. You don't hear the Royals pop up. You don't hear the Diamondbacks pop up. You don't hear the Marlins pop up. None of those teams pop up. Now, the Pirates kind of shocked us a little bit. So they got Ryan O'Hearn, they make the trade, whatever. First time in 15 years or something for the Pirates,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you don't
Right.
like that's the issue. The issue is there is 5 or 6 teams going after every top tier free agent, and that's it. That's
Yeah.
also not sustainable.
Right.
No, I agree.
Right.
One of my favorite arguments I've heard from Dodger fans is, well, the Blue Jays almost beat us. Well, the Blue Jays were the fifth highest payroll, or fourth or fifth. It's not like it's not like Toronto was playing with the 20th ranked payroll there. Rob, Rob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with Nick and Chris, of course. I mean, but the Dodgers, not only are they spending money, but they're spending it right. If you remember the Yankees of, the 80s, George Steinbrenner spent, 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 but he didn't spend smart all the time. And it was disasters. Chris remembers that. It was just a
Yeah.
disaster. So the Dodgers spend the money and they spend it right. But something does have to be done. I'm torn because finally we have an owner that, he's the richest owner, solo owner in baseball. Finally, we're away from the Wilpons and the Madoff mess that we had to suffer through, and the Mets have money to spend. They haven't, they made a couple of mistakes. Scherzer for one. But I think David Stearns it knows what he's doing and he's going to work it right. But for the other teams, yes, there are teams that don't spend. You said it before. We're shocked that the Pirates did something, and they can't compete though. Kansas City can't compete anymore. One and done. Yeah, they won the World Series in 2015. That was it. Same thing with the Nationals. All these teams, you're right. There's 5 teams that could go after every free agent if they want to, and that's it. So something definitely has to be done. And I never thought I would say, hear myself saying that when the Mets have an owner with money, but something has to be done, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's typical bad luck for the Mets, right? You finally get an owner like that, and now you got to talk about salary caps. Yeah. I
Right.
think the other thing that I think a lot of Dodgers fans are missing, and look, this is not anti-Dodger. I don't want a bunch of angry emails. I'm sure you guys don't either. But um, when we talk about this issue, the labor dispute is coming. We know it's coming. The Dodgers winning the last two, and if they win the third, is just adding fuel to the owner's fire and to the owner's argument of the salary cap, which has always been the key argument piece for decades now between them and the players. So it's not about right or wrong. It's not if the Dodgers are doing anything right or wrong. It's just that the Dodgers winning just adds more fuel to what could be. I mean, some people are going full nuclear option here that we may not have a season at all in 2027. I'm not ready to say that. I hope not, certainly, but I think we're going to miss a chunk of the season unless something miraculous happens. And so that's where I look at this situation and say, the more the Dodgers win, the more they're just adding to the other 29 owners' argument for that salary cap.
Yeah, for me, it's the deferral loophole,
Yeah,
right? You paid Shohei Ohtani
Yeah.
$700 million over 10 years, right? That was the contract. Now
yeah,
you deferred it. Listen, I don't care when you pay your players. Heck, you can pay him in year 2500 if you want to. I don't care. But when he is on the field, his contract should count towards the luxury tax threshold for that year. If you defer out the payment, it should be the full 70 every year that
yeah,
counts.
Right.
And it doesn't. They
Right.
deferred it out. So his tax luxury hit, whatever, is only $46 million a year. That's where the loophole is broken.
yeah,
Good for the Dodgers exploiting that and understanding that
Yeah.
and deferring all these guys to get another Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker's not worth $60 million in my book, but that's
yeah,
another discussion.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if they're playing for that 10 years, Shohei Ohtani, 10 years, all $700 million of that tax hit should count in that 10-year span. And it doesn't, it's broken. It needs to be closed.
that's a great point. That's a great
Yep.
point. By the
Yeah.
way,
Totally
Kyle
agree.
Tucker said today in his press conference that he thinks the Dodgers are good for baseball. Shocker, right? What else was he going to say?
Of
What was he
course.
going to say?
Of course.
Listen, if I got paid $60 million a
Oh
year,
yeah,
I'd say that too.
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah, I don't blame
100%.
him. Yeah, but if we get to like July and he's batting like 215 with like 4 homers,
Mhm.
pressure mounts at that point, right?
Oh yeah.
Rob, Chris, you guys have anything else you want to add to this particular discussion?
You know what? I think we kind of covered it all, with the cap and everything. And Nick brought up a great point about the whole deferrals thing, and that's been going on for a long time, right? I mean, Rob knows that unfortunately
Yeah.
too well with the Bobby Bonilla deal, but listen, this is deferrals have been going on for a long time, but yeah, it's a loophole that should be covered up. And like Nick
Absolutely.
said, if you want to do that with your contract, your personal contract, and make your money go out, spread it out more, that's fine, that's great, but
Yeah,
it should go against the cap. Like if you're a $70 million player, that's what you should be against the cap on your team. If you want to spread out your paycheck or whatever for your own good or for the team's own good, you want to do them a favor, that's fine, you work that out. But I think Nick brought up a good point. I think the deferrals maybe they could cap that as well. If they do a salary cap, maybe cap deferrals, a certain percentage of the contract could be deferred, whatever, what again, above our pay rate, but I'm sure that's going to come into play if if we get into a cap situation.
Yeah, look,
Yeah,
I don't want to
I
be naive.
agree.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob. Sorry, go ahead.
Good. No, I just wanted to say I agree, and that's why I personally think that it's going to be a long work stoppage because look
Yeah.
at all the issues they gotta deal with. I personally I just feel it's going to be a long work stoppage.
Well, look, when you have labor negotiations, nothing gets done until the pressure's on. And so
Yeah.
everybody's like, why don't they start talking about it now? Because there's no incentive right now. There's no pressure. It's going to have to get to that point where we start losing ball games on the schedule before they really feel that heat. Like in 1994, I know you guys all lived through 1994 like I did. The rhetoric was terrible. Donald Fear was, on TV every day. You wanted to choke
Mm.
that guy.
Hmm.
It's going to be like that, I'm afraid. I really do think it's going to be a lot like that. Um, yeah, so we'll see what happens. Salary cap, salary floor, both. I do think the loophole needs to be closed on the deferments. The one thing I don't want to be super naive here. I know money runs this and runs the world, but it's funny to me how so many baseball owners they purchase baseball teams and they don't really care about winning. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
They
and,
just
and
care
I
about
know
making
it's
money.
yeah, it's like the other owners vote, to allow you to buy a team. And I'm like, do you guys even care that this person is going to come in and not compete? So, it's just weird to me because for years my own team was owned and still is actually by this conglomerate, this Liberty Media and all this. And yeah, the people who run the team care on a day-to-day basis, but the ownership just wants to make money. And so it seems like a conflict of interest almost. And so that's why you have 10, 12, 15 teams that every year really don't compete. Drives me crazy.
You know what, Jason? It goes back to every sport, it's a business first,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Unfortunately, for us fans,
yeah.
the owners are not fans like we are.
Right.
No matter what they say. They don't live and die by our teams about if they win or lose, right? They don't
Yeah.
care. As long as they're coming in, pulling in money every year or every week, whatever, that's all they care about, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm sure, listen, I'm sure the owner would love to win a World Series, but you know what? If they don't make the playoffs, are they, upset as much as we are? They're
Yeah.
probably not. As long as they look at that, as long as they
Bottom
look at their
line.
books and it's in the
Yeah.
green or the red, whatever color it has to be, then
Right.
that's
The
fine,
bottom
right?
line.
So,
Bottom
but
line.
right, if the
Well,
bottom line is good,
That
that makes me think though. You think about the most successful owner, the ones that did care about winning. George Steinbrenner, love him or hate him,
Yeah,
he wanted to win, and eventually he figured it out. Right? They did win what 4 out of 5
yeah,
titles in the late '90s. Um, Charlie Finley in the '70s. I mean, he was an asshole. He's kind of a dumbass, but they won. He cared and they won. He wanted to win. And now the Dodgers, they have an ownership group that obviously wants to win. So it matters when you have an owner that really wants to win. And Rob, you mentioned Cohen. He seems like he wants to win. I'm not sure he knows how to get there yet, but he wants to. So it does make a big
yeah, he
difference.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ted
definitely.
Turner
I
And
think
from the
their
Braves.
egos. I think their
yeah,
egos get into it a lot.
Oh
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
you're
Like
Yeah.
right.
Cohen, like
Yeah.
last year, we like Rob said, like he wanted Soto no matter what. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
he went that extra mile that he had to go, right?
Yeah.
So I think when Cohen wants something, he's gonna,
Yeah,
but unfortunately, just like you said, Jason, with George Steinbrenner wanted to win. That was his ego. He wants
Yeah.
to be the best at everything and all that. He just went about it the wrong way. He just thought, oh, let me just get this guy. That guy's really
Yeah.
known. I want that guy. He's supposed to be good.
Until
That
he hired George
unfortunately that is
Costanza, they really didn't get anywhere. But once they got
right.
Costanza
you're
in
right.
there, they really
Exactly.
turned
Well,
it around.
once they got the smarter people involved, the baseball people involved, the Gene Michaels,
Joe
once he
Torre.
got
Yeah.
involved with it, he knew where to go.
Watson too.
Yeah.
Watson
Bob Watson.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
so for me, it's the league losing over $1 billion last year,
Yeah.
right? The league as a whole lost over $1 billion, and these player contracts are still going up.
Right.
So that's why this labor is lockout, whatever, is going to be. I think Kyle Tucker was the nail in the coffin. 2027's dead. That's just me. I am on the
I
extreme
wouldn't be
side of that.
surprised. Yeah.
Um, because if I am the Florida Marlins, what is my incentive to spend? I can't compete. I want to win, but I don't have the cash to compete with that. I have no chance. Like, yes, baseball has a lot of parity, but the Dodgers and the Mets are single-handedly trying to take the parity out by overspending.
I think it's also that's a great point. I think it's also not even so much because we do see parity. We see Cleveland making the playoffs, Milwaukee,
Hmm.
Kansas City. The problem is perception, the fans' perception, especially the casual fan. They jump on Twitter, they see, oh, Kyle Tucker went to the Dodger. Here we go again. So it's not even so much that it takes away from parity necessarily, because it's not like the Dodgers have been winning titles before the last couple of years, right? I mean, it took them. I mean, we'll give them 2020, I guess, but 1988 was the last time they got a title.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there has been some parity. So I think it's more about perception and driving away that casual fan that they need. They need the eyeballs on TV. They need them going to the ticket stands. I do say this: the players, I guarantee you'll hear this in the next few months as this gets worse. The $1 billion figure, the players are going to say, no, they're lying. They're not losing that much money. And I would like to see the owners just open up their books. Let's see. Let's just see
Yeah.
who's right. Because the owners always say, we're losing this much money. And the players always say, no, you're not. All right, open it up. Let's find out who's right and see what's going on. But anyway, we will leave that wonderful topic.
I I have
Yeah, go
one I
ahead.
have I have one more question
Go ahead. Go
for
ahead.
you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think the Shohei Ohtani contract broke the free agent market? So like we kind of threw this around on our show. Do you think that contract single-handedly broke the market? Because we have Soto right behind that. Now you have Kyle Tucker making 60 a year. Did Shohei's contract just destroy the free agent market?
Let's let Rob go first. Go
Mhm.
ahead, Rob.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it did because, like you said, look what happened. It was like the domino effect. Right after Tani Soto, these are numbers that you never thought you were going to see in your lifetime. You knew salaries were going up, 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 but just think about it. Close to $1 billion. It's insane. We have a couple of old time ball players on our show, and we've talked to them, and I've talked to them personally. Cannot believe what's going on, because when they were playing, they were lucky, they made 1 million. They thought it was great. This
Yeah.
is out of control. So do I personally? I think yeah, it was the beginning of what broke it.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, but then again, it's only those top level guys, the top
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
teams that are able to sign them, right? The Dodgers, they went out and signed Tucker. The Mets, they signed Juan Soto. So, and then think about it, even if it wouldn't happen, but let's say the Marlins match Tucker's deal, right? Or when maybe a few $1 million more to entice him to come, and they sign him, and they sign a pitcher, right? Who was the free agent? Let's say they signed Valdez, the throw him 3 years, 90 million, whatever. They sign those two guys. I'm just throwing quick numbers out. They sign those two guys. Does it really make a difference in the grand scheme of things for the Marlins? Does that bring in that many more fans that's going to make up for the salaries that they're paying out now? And they also got to raise their ticket prices, which I'm sure are really cheap down there in Miami, just like all these other teams like Pittsburgh. That's the reason why they get certain people in there still with the team that they're throwing out there because their ticket prices aren't New York prices or LA ticket prices, right? So that's the other juggling act that these small market teams have to really do is like, okay, if we raise our salary and sign a big guy here and there and get it up to 150 million, we're gonna have to raise our ticket prices for it to make sense for us. Forget
Yeah.
about winning or losing, right? And then if they sign those guys and it doesn't work out and they don't make the playoffs, they're definitely gonna lose money, right? So it's if the Dodgers do that, who cares? They're still gonna
Right.
make money because they're still gonna get sellouts every night. New York,
Well,
we're gonna get sellouts every night. Who cares? So that's the other juggling act that we're not even really bringing up, for the
Well, look, we can save this for the next roundtable, but you're
yes.
hitting on another issue where we have cities that don't need baseball. And Miami, I'm not sure if Miami
Yes.
put a great team together. Look, the Marlins won two World Series within 6 years of each other, and they drew okay during those 2 years. But I just don't think the baseball fan base is there for Miami, even if they had a really good team. Pittsburgh, yes. Pittsburgh's a traditional baseball town. You put a good team on the field, they're going to sell out
Yeah.
PNC consistently. But Tampa, Miami, um,
Hey, to prove your point, Tampa's been a pretty good team,
yeah,
right? The
yeah,
past 10 years or so,
Right.
yeah.
and their place is empty
They
all
play
the
in an air
time, no matter
conditioned
what.
warehouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
The
it.
fact that
Yeah.
the Oakland A's attendance was higher than the first playoff game for the Rays was
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yes.
Like,
That-
what
Yeah.
are we even talking about there? I would kind of push back on the Miami one a little bit
Okay.
because the WBC was there and the fans
Yes.
showed out. Now, I understand the WBC probably brings in a lot of outside people, so I get
Yes.
that. Um,
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
so there are baseball fans there, and they will come out. But like you said, you got to put a product out there, or
Well, that's a
some
good point.
resemblance of a product
Yeah, that's a good
to bring
point.
them in.
And
I mean,
I
I
think
hate,
they do this year. I mean,
I hated,
we can make the argument they got a scrappy team, a lot of young
yeah, they finished
players,
ahead of my
right?
Braves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. And now expansion. I mean, and they want two more teams, right? They
Yeah.
want to expand, but they
Yeah.
can't even get the teams they have now to sell out ballparks or even have decent attendance. So that's
or
another thing.
or or even have a ballpark. Like two of them
That's
don't
right.
even have a
That's
ballpark.
right.
Right.
Oh, now it's one. Tampa's
That's a
going
good
back to
point.
Trop.
At least Miami did get a ballpark built. I mean, it took a while,
Yeah.
but at least they got a ballpark
Right.
built. I will say this too, Nick. You have a great point there, and we've talked about on our podcast before how teams need to build their team around the ballpark, like, and to fit the city. Like, if you're playing at Coors Field, you need to have power hitters, right? I mean, the Rockies were at their best in the '90s when they had Bichette and Vinny Castilla and all those guys, Larry
Mhm.
Walker, Galarraga. Maybe Miami in their case should build it around, hey, we know if we get Latin American players on our team, people will come watch, right? And it's a
Yeah.
terrible shame that they didn't have Jose Fernandez for a full
Mm,
career, but that's a great point. I think you're right. If they got the right team, hopefully people would come out. I've been to that ballpark. I don't know if you guys have been to
it's beautiful.
Marlins Park. It's not bad. Like, it's a
Yeah.
cool little spot, so good
You
stuff.
know what? Could I say something? You mentioned Fernandez, and which is a tragedy. But
Yeah.
if he lived, he probably wouldn't be on the Marlins right
Well,
now.
he'd be on the Yankees
I,
or the Dodgers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to push back on that one too because I think the Marlins look completely different. With Fernandez there, they had Gordon, they had Stanton, they had Yelich, they had Real Muto. They would
True.
have built that franchise around Jose Fernandez. That loss was more than just the loss of Jose Fernandez. That was the loss of that team spirit, and they haven't recovered since.
That's a good point.
I agree.
Good point.
Did they sign Stanton before he died?
Yeah, Stanton was on that team.
I think so.
Right. But
He got
did
he
they
came
sign him
over
for that
from
contract? That extension?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Right?
that
Yeah,
was
I would
his
think so too.
50 home run year, I think, or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
The timing sounds right. 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also,
It
though,
is.
the ballpark's beautiful, right? But the area is sketchy
It's not great.
where
It's
that
not great.
ballpark is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, I
great.
parked in someone's yard, so let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. My partners.
Look, you can say that about a few ballparks, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just Miami there. My own team finally moved out of the south side of Atlanta, and you don't feel like you're gonna get mugged going to your car after a night game. So it's a nice feeling. Great stuff, guys. We'll come back to this. I'll just leave it with as far as the teams and the cities. I'll just say, bring back the Expos, baby. Let's go. Let's get Montreal
I'm
back.
with you on that.
Get those uniforms
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want a team in Raleigh too. That's just me. There's a big black hole here with baseball. I need a team in Raleigh, but that's just my own personal
And they're
bias.
trying though,
But
right? Aren't they trying?
Yeah.
Ralph?
bad, yeah.
They
I've
are.
actually had MLB Raleigh on our show to talk about it. They
Nice.
brought this idea. They're doing a whole bunch of fundraising. They have a billionaire on board. They have like a battery plan. MLB Raleigh is ready to submit the package, but it's not going to happen. Like you said, Rob, with this lockout, expansions
Yeah.
back burner.
I've seen Raleigh
Yeah.
listed as one of the favorites if they
Yeah.
do or when they do. Yeah, I've got. I work with a team of people in the southeast, and one of my colleagues is in Raleigh, and he's tired of hockey. He wants to see some baseball. So
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
rooting for you guys. Rooting for you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
never gonna get one in Alabama, so yeah, that's good. So good stuff, guys. Let's move on. Let's talk some Hall of Fame. Maybe a little brighter conversation here. Hall of Fame, the announcement came out last night. So we got Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones were both elected. And then third, I believe, with you guys help me out here, I want to say 59% was Chase Utley. So he may be next up. We'll see if he flattens out there or continues to climb. But Carlos Beltran was kind of I think it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to get in. Andrew Jones was questionable. So I just get you guys' general thoughts on both of those gentlemen getting into the hall, and probably especially with Andrew being kind of on the fence for so long. And I don't know if you guys saw this today, but he made the biggest jump from his first ballot to being elected. His first ballot, I believe,
Yes.
was about 7.3.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
he made some strides there. You guys' thoughts? Let's start with Chris this time.
Yeah, I always thought he was a Hall of Famer. I mean, 10 gold gloves in center field. I know the back end of his career, the second half of his career, I should say, not Hall of Fame quality, right? But that first 10 years, Jason, you're a Braves fan, right?
I am,
All
yes.
right, so you could speak about him better than I can, but listen, those first 10 years are as good as you're going to get for a center fielder, right?
Yes.
And when you look at his numbers, 10 Gold Gloves, I think only two outfielders have more than him in history. Center field, his center field defense is second to none. I've never seen Willie Mays play, so I can't say he's better than Willie Mays, but he's the best
Right.
center fielder I've ever seen defensively, hands down. And then you add in 400 something home runs. I seen him kill us in the 96 World Series, well, at least for game one and two. And then we know
Yeah.
what happened, but I don't want to bring that up. But
I still have nightmares, Chris. I
yeah,
still have
I'm
nightmares.
sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think he definitely deserved it. The only thing I have to add is that I think the character clauses, that's where I think things get a little cloudy, right? Because he did have a
Right.
domestic violence thing
Yeah.
against him or something, and
Yeah.
um, if you're not going to use it against that, then guys like Omar Vizquel, then he should get in. If you think he's a Hall of Famer, then you
Yeah.
should vote for him. It shouldn't be,
Right.
well, he did what he did on whatever he did, right?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be held against him then. As long
Yeah.
as he's a better person from it. Seems like Andrew Jones is. I'm not holding that against him, but if they're going to hold,
You just want things to be applied equally, right? I mean
that's it. That's
that
all I
sounds
want to
Yeah.
fair.
see.
Yeah,
That's all
that's
I want to
fair.
see. Like steroids, I get it. That's a whole other issue. That's a
Yeah.
whole other show, right? So we're not going to get into that.
That might be like a 3 episode special.
Right, yeah. So we don't have to get into that, but
Only
listen,
three?
yeah,
Yeah. At
exactly,
best.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can make the argument too with someone brought it up about Andrew Jones, right? His numbers started to tail off the year that they started testing. So that brings up the question. I'm not going to. I look at him as a Hall of Famer, great defensive player, obviously, and then, very good offensive
So
player as
I'll
well.
jump in real quick on that issue of back half
Mhm.
of their career, because one of my favorite players of all time, being when I grew up, was Dale Murphy, right? So Murph hit his peak. He
Yeah.
had a couple MVP awards, and his back half of his career was just pretty bad, right? So he's not in. He may not get in. So we had this discussion last night with Jessica Brand, and she brought up a good point. She looks at things as accumulation, right? She wants to see longevity. So when Vizquel played what, 20 something years, I think, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
likes that longevity, that accumulation that we've always looked at 3,000 hits and 400 homers and 300 wins for pitchers and 3,000 strikeouts. The problem is that's going to get rarer and rarer the way the game is played now. So we're going to have to adjust. And I think if you look at a guy like Chase Utley is a good example. Like he hit a peak. He was one of the best players in baseball for a few years, but he wasn't over a 15, 20-year period. But voters are probably going to have to adjust the way they vote as we go forward, especially with pitchers. Are we ever going to see another 300 game winner? I mean,
No,
very
Nope.
unlikely, right? And
definitely not.
Kershaw may be the last 3,000 strikeout guy we see for a long time. So it's a
Agree.
great point on your part to bring up the skill. I thought about that when you said it because how long he played, and it's just the accumulation stats versus when you're in your peak. And Andrew definitely during his peak was one of the best in baseball. By far the best defensive center fielder I've seen. I've seen some crazy stats on him the last few days. How many runs saved more than his peers? So yeah, I think that's an interesting discussion to have about whether you value longevity or you value the peak of their career. Nick, what's your opinion on Andrew and Beltran too? We can talk Carlos Beltran too.
Andrew Jones, no doubt. I've been saying it for the last 3 years. Like you guys hit it, right? He's the best center fielder I've ever seen in my life. And that's saying something. Ken Griffey, not too shabby out there, right?
Not bad. Yeah.
But I mean, when Andrew Jones would track a ball deep in the gap and basket catch it like it was easy. I
Yeah.
mean, like what are we even talking about here? He would play right behind second base and cover every. I've never seen a center fielder play as shallow as him.
Yeah.
What are we even talking about? We have guys in the Hall of Fame that are in just for their defense. Ozzie Smith, Brooks
Ozzie Smith.
Robinson, right?
Yeah.
Brooks
Yes,
Robinson. There
right.
are guys in just for their defense alone. So I don't know why this took so long. Yeah, 269 average or whatever his career average is. Like, why does that count against him, but doesn't count against Ozzie or count against Brooks? Like his defense was Hall of Fame caliber. So I don't even know what we're talking about with Andrew Jones.
Chris may have hit on something with the domestic. I mean, I think that is being held against Vizquel. I think it is.
A
So,
1000% with
yeah.
Vizquel.
So
Yeah.
that could have been part of it. And then again, the longevity thing when he hit his peak and all that. But I want to say Andrew, Willie, maybe Mantle, and one other are the only players ever with 400 plus homers
And 10 Gold Gloves.
and 10 gold gloves. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just crazy. Rob, your thoughts, buddy?
Well, let me talk about Beltran.
Yeah.
First
Somebody
of
talk about
all,
poor Carlos, please.
I'm happy about it. Listen, I think he paid his dues for the cheating scandal. He lost his job as manager of the Mets. He didn't even get to manage them for one game. He paid the price. He deserves to be in, obviously. I mean, I loved him as a player on the Mets. I did. I know he got off to a shaky start, and the fans really let him have it, which is ridiculous. I always think that's ridiculous.
In New
You get a
York?
great
What?
play. Yeah,
New York
I know.
fans? No.
Me and Chris are sort of different though. We don't go with that flow. And he cannot be remembered for that one at bat, that one strikeout. We talked about that today. We had a pop-up show. I was at that game. Believe me, it was horrible. It was one of the longest drives home I ever had. But you cannot remember the guy for that one strikeout. Okay. So Carlos Beltran, I'm happy. He's probably going to wear a Mets cap in the Hall of Fame. It looks that way. He deserves to be there, and I'm happy. Andrew Jones, listen, Andrew Jones drove me crazy as a Met fan, all those years,
Jones
catching
boys.
everything. Yes, everything. Those years were crazy. The Braves were just coming out on top against the Mets every year. It was like a war that the Mets really couldn't win. So he belongs there. Do I think the domestic violence charge had something to do with him it taking so long? Yes, I do. I think that's a problem. But he deserves to be in.
Yeah, look, I think this is boy, we could go on all night, guys. Look, I don't want to get too deep into this, but when we talk about the character clause, look, first of all, we know there's guys in the Hall of Fame that weren't saints, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Babe Ruth is probably still the most revered player of all time, and we know Babe had some issues, right? So, how much do we put into that? I mean, I don't know where you guys come down on the steroid thing or the Astros trash can thing. I'll say this about the Astros. Do we think the Astros and of course the Red Sox were the only teams that have ever found an advantage on how to tip pitches? Now I know
No.
this was pretty blatant. I get it. I'm not saying it was okay, but like, good Lord, we can. I know Nick, you know this. We can post something about the Astros now, and the first thing in the comments is trash can, trash. Like,
Yeah.
let it
People need
go.
to move on. Yeah, move on.
Let it
Yeah.
go.
I'm a Yankee fan, and it was
Yeah,
frustrating. But
That's
you know
right.
what? I've
yeah.
moved
I've
on.
seen Dodger fans saying let it go. They
Yeah.
lost the World Series to it. So
Just look at that series
So
real quick. Just look at that
yeah,
series. I've trust me, I've let this go. And here's a great example. Okay, if you look at that series, Game 6 and 7 in Houston. Okay,
yeah,
it had nothing to do with them. You know, picking up the signals from our
yeah,
pitchers. Right.
yeah,
Our
yeah.
hitters did not. They did nothing in Game Six and
Right,
Seven. I think we scored 2
Yep.
runs in those two
right.
games. That
That's
was
a
the
good point.
problem, and
That's
they
a good
weren't
point.
cheating that way. Right.
Yeah,
And then if you watch the documentary, I don't know if you guys did you guys see that documentary about it? It
I
was
have
on
not.
no.
PBS or something, and it was about the Astros, and they did not it was proven, or at least by this guy, that they didn't cheat in the playoffs. They only cheated up to a certain date in the regular season, but once the playoffs started, they didn't. So
I just want to
So
repeat to our
for
audience that's coming from a Yankees fan. So
yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
not an Astros fan.
I'm trying to get people to just let it go, move
Yeah,
on, move
please.
on.
Please do.
So
Oh,
so
go
for
ahead. Go ahead,
me,
Nick.
I the Hall of Fame is tough for me.
Yeah.
Harrison and I have juggled this around. It's the inconsistency of the Hall of Fame. Listen, in
Yes.
my eyes, cheating is cheating. End of story. I don't care if it's trash cans. I don't care if it's steroids. I don't care if it's amphetamines. I don't care if it's greenies. I don't care if it's betting. Like that's all against the character clause in the Hall of Fame. So if you were in one of those scandals throughout, listen, baseball's scattered with them, right? Let's not
Yeah.
be naive, right?
Right.
Scattered.
You just eliminated about 75% of the Hall of Fame.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? So for me, it's just the inconsistencies of it, and it almost,
Absolutely.
as a diehard baseball fan, it is becoming harder and harder to talk about the Hall of Fame because I think it's a joke, right?
Yeah.
They still celebrate all these guys in the Hall. Like Barry Bonds has a full-on exhibit, Pete Rose full-on exhibit, but like
Right.
no, we don't want him in the hall. Wait, like, okay, like I get it. They're two separate things, right? Hall of Fame and museum. I get it.
Right.
But like it's so hypocritical. It feels like it's gentleman's club to me, right? It's just like, do we like this guy? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No, okay, he's out. Even though he's got Hall of Fame numbers, nah, no thanks. Like it's just the inconsistency of the hall that drives me insane.
No, I agree. I look, I'm of the opinion I've changed on this in the last decade. When I was
Right.
younger, I was more vitriol about it, but you know, they need to be in. They need to be in. The two players I really hold against more than any other are Bonds and Clemens because they were going to be Hall of Famers regardless. They didn't need to do what they did, but I'm not saying they
Right.
shouldn't be in. They should still get in. All those guys should be in that deserve it. But yeah, you go back through, like you said, Nick, through baseball history, it's always been something. Hank Aaron, who's the most revered. I love that guy. I never met him, but I don't love anybody outside of my own family more than I loved Hank Aaron. And he did greenies apparently. Like you go back in time, there was always something. And so I just think it's time. It is hypocritical. It's like advertising, DraftKings and then getting
Yep.
mad at your players, which those are
Yep.
two different things. I get it, but it's the optics of it, right? It's terrible.
Mhm.
So
Right.
yeah, I'm with you on that, man. It's like seeing an umpire call a strike in the first inning differently than the fifth inning and the seventh inning. Get it consistent at least. Like come out and say, look, we're not doing this because, or we are doing this because, but quit going back and forth. And Bonds, in my opinion, I'll never call him the home run king. That's just my thing. Hank guy, right? But my God, he has
Yeah.
the most home runs in the history of the game. Pete Rose has the most hits in the history of the game. Guess what the point of the game is? To get hits, right? And he's
Right.
not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess we can kind of wrap it up here. We can keep going if you guys want to, but I will ask this question. When the time comes, we got a committee voting on it in 2027. Does Pete get in?
Hmm.
No.
Got quiet on
I'm gonna take this. It's no. Right. I mean, especially with this Class A and Ortiz stuff, bringing it right back to the
Yeah.
forefront,
Yeah.
right? It's as you said, hypocritical, right? It's DraftKings, it's FanDuel. Like, oh, it's your fifth inning parlay. If this happens, this
Yeah.
happens, this happens.
Yeah.
You win. It's just it's the whole thing is so hypocritical. I know we're in a different day and age, but there's no way Pete Rose gets in. I don't think. And
Is it more because of that, Nick, or because what we were just talking about with the character clause? Because we all know Pete had some
Hmm.
off-field issues as well. Do you think it's a combo of those two things, or just really the
yes,
gambling part of it?
yes. Yes to all of it. It's the whole package, right? I mean, it is what it is. We're never gonna see Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think you're right, but it is hypocritical. We talk about this a lot on our show. The DraftKings sponsors a post-game show, and all that stuff. It is, you're telling these kids they're watching this, and the kids, 12 years old, 13, they want to make these bets on their phone because they see, what the odds are on during the game. It's crazy. It really is. And then Class A, you said you brought it up. Right back to gambling again. Why would that guy risk his career? He's a pretty good damn reliever, right?
Ridiculous.
He,
Ridiculous.
it makes no sense.
I think the, this is going to bring more of the hypocrisy, I guess, in baseball. But thankfully, their numbers are still in the record book. There's no
Yeah.
asterisk. There's no
Right.
nothing. And when you go to the Hall of Fame, their numbers are still there, right? When
Yeah.
you
Right.
Yeah.
when you see the home run leaders, you see
Bonds does have an asterisk in the hall though, in the museum.
he
I've been
does.
there. It does. Yeah. Yeah, his single season mark does have an asterisk, and I think his career does too. It's on the wall. When I went last time, there was an
Yeah.
asterisk next to it.
All right. I went there a year ago. I was there last year.
They might have changed it, but
Maybe,
when
yeah.
I went
But
like 8 years ago. But
But
still,
either way, like if you go to baseball reference or if you go to MLB.com, you look at the stats, they're there, right? So, but
Yes.
that
Yeah.
also brings up the art. Like then just put them in the Hall of Fame. And if
yep,
you give them the plaque, just write on the plaque. They played during the steroid era and they were, you know, accused or assume that they took or whatever you want to put on there to make it to word it out. But yeah, they
Well,
should be in. It's ridiculous.
my policy on my page, I posted a lot of stats, a lot of historical stats. My policy has always been, I use baseball reference. That's my primary source. If it's in the record book, I'm posting it like it is, and everybody can make up their own
hmm
mind
Right.
about what they
Yeah.
think. Because if I
Right.
posted it without Bonds, then I'm going to have a ton of people saying you hate Barry Bonds, you're blah blah blah. If I post it with Bonds, I inevitably get, oh my God, I can't believe you're posting it with Bonds. Either way, I was going to lose, so I just said, hey, you guys make up your own mind. I'm going to post it like it is in baseball reference,
yep,
and that's been the
Yeah.
easiest way to get around that. So,
hmm
my opinion, I think Pete, somehow, some way, I think Pete gets in. I don't know. Maybe it's just, I'm not going to say wishful thinking because I really don't have a dog in that fight. I mean, if he gets in, he gets. I don't really care, but I just have a feeling that somehow he's going to get in. I mean, he's the all-time hits king. What about Shoeless Joe? Why don't we just go on that since I just did a special on Shoeless Joe? You guys think Shoeless Joe gets in?
If Pete
He
gets in,
should.
he does. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Rob.
No, that's okay. Because I mean, look how great he played in that World Series. Plus, from what they say, he didn't have the highest IQ, so maybe he was tricked into something. We really don't know, but I mean, the guy had an amazing World Series, and
He did.
you're right, Nick. Pete Rose gets in, Shoeless Joe should get
Yeah.
in.
I just did that special on that. Shoeless Joe hit 375. He had the most hits of anybody in the series, and he had the only home run. When you talk about a different ball game back in 1919, only one home run in the whole series. It was his, but
That's great.
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Well, here's
crazy.
the thing. If like let's say if Pete Rose does get voted in and Shoeless Joe both get voted in, does that open the door for the steroid guys?
Boy,
You want to know my full this is my closing case for steroid era. You
yeah,
let Bud Selig into the Hall of Fame, who was like this the entire time during the
Right,
steroid era, being like,
Yes.
right,
I'm not seeing what you
yeah.
guys are doing, but I know what you're doing. He's
right.
in for saving the game and looking the other way. He
That's a
knew
great
what
point.
these players are doing, and
Yep.
he's celebrated in the hall for saving the game during that era. He didn't save the game. McGuire did, Sosa did, Bonds did, all
Right.
those guys did. And arguably, there are steroid guys in the hall.
Mhm.
Bagwell, Pudge Rodriguez.
I think Nick
Let's
just did
be
a
honest.
mic drop on the steroid argument. I think that was the mic drop right
Yes.
there.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nick, you just brought up something else I thought about. Bond Sosa that summer. I know you guys remember that. Every morning I was going to work and we were all talking. How many they hit last
Oh
night?
yeah.
Right.
It did bring baseball back. I mean, it really did. And 1919, the gambling scandal. Well, 1920 just happened to be the year that Babe Ruth started hitting bombs, right? So both times there's been like serious issues with baseball that could have really derailed the game. They've been bailed out by a big home run hitter. I don't see anything like that on the horizon if things go screwy next season and we lose the whole season. There's no guarantee that we get anything like that coming out of it. So baseball needs to be really careful here because at least popularity wise, I think they're in a better place than they were, say, a decade ago.
Yeah.
They could really screw this
Yeah.
up for themselves. There's no guarantee you're going to get a Bond Sosa or a Babe Ruth coming out hitting bombs to make up for it. So
Yeah.
And
we'll
you
see
know
what
what? Yeah,
happens.
and you know what? In this day and age in society now, it's hard to get, especially the younger kids'
Oh
attention,
yeah,
Yeah.
right? They'll
yeah,
always have our attention.
yeah.
We'll be right back. It's gonna be hard to get that 10-year-old kid to get
That's a
back
great
into
point.
baseball.
You know what's funny, Chris? I went to the All-Star game this past year, and one of the things they had the All-Star Village or whatever it was. They got all these things set up. and there were a lot of kids there, which was encouraging. But the kids are attracted to the quick games, the instant
Mhm.
gratification stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't see a ton of kids in the stands for the actual game. They were all at this thing, and there were all these
Yeah.
games to play and all these things to do. And so baseball does need to make sure that they're finding a way to appeal to that while not ruining the traditional game that we all know and love. And I know there's already been big changes, and God knows we could go off on a tangent on that too. I want to stop real quick and say hey to Mike, my guy, my co-host from the Braves podcast. Welcome, Mike. Thank you for jumping on, man.
No worries. Just kind of finished eating dinner,
You're
so
hanging out. Yeah, we covered the Dodgers dominance. We've covered the Hall of Fame, and we kind of got off on a tangent about steroids and Pete Rose and all kind of stuff. I think it's time, guys, to start talking about winners and losers this offseason. I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, I guess we can just go ahead and I posted on our page the other day. Just go ahead and give the NL West title to the Dodgers. So certainly the Dodgers have improved with Diaz and Tucker. Other than the Dodgers, um, Mike, we'll start with you since you just jumped on. Who do you think's the most improved team, or just in general, a couple of teams you think improved themselves this offseason?
I mean, I'm probably a little bit biased with the Braves, shoring up the bullpen.
Shocker, Mike. Shocker.
I know, shocker, right? Um, yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else, but I am a little Brave centric, so
Yeah, no, I think the Braves, they created flexibility. I mean, you talked about this on our first episode. Yastrzemski, Dubon, obviously that was a big move now with Hassan Kim being injured for a while. Um, they definitely shored up their bullpen. Robert Suarez, you put him in the back end with Iglesias. That's a pretty devastating 1-2 punch in the eighth and ninth innings. They definitely have more flexibility in the lineup than they had last year. Depth in starting pitching, as long as we don't get the rash of injuries that we normally get. I tell you the one fascinating team. I want to open this up. I mentioned it before we started recording, and so Rob, I know you're going to jump in here. I don't know what to think about the Mets. All right, I really don't know what to think. Okay, I like, I kind of like the Robert. I like that move. Okay, because he has an upside there, right? I love I'm about to say Dante Bichette. I did it again, Mike.
yep, you did.
Bo Bichette. That's how old we are, right?
Yes.
I like Bo Bichette. I wanted the Braves to get Bo Bichette, so I like that move. But then I look at the pitching. Where's the pitching at? And of course, Rob, you brought up before we were recording that hey, it's not baked yet, right? We're still baking that cake. But
Right.
as a Mets guy, I want to get your thoughts. Where do you see this offseason so far for the New York Mets?
So listen, it's been crazy. It's crazier than I thought it was going to be, and I'll go through this real quick. First of all, me and Chris have talked about this a lot. David Stearns wants to make this his team, and that's what it's mostly about. He has a plan, he has a blueprint, and he wants to go one way. All right, Diaz did not want to come back to the Mets because the Mets were willing to make another offer to him. He wanted to go with the Dodgers. His brother pitched for the Dodgers last season, talked great about the organization, and he felt that's the team he could win a World Series with. Okay, fine. So he wasn't coming back. Um, Alonso, that's the one that got me because Alonso, homegrown. We love Alonso. That one hurt, but you know what? You got to let it go. Like Chris let Soto go last year, after it happened. We got to let it go. The Mets are making moves, right? You said you like the Robert move. Yeah, they didn't give up much. Acuna wasn't going to play. He was not going to play. There's not enough room. Okay. Bochette, hey, I was shocked and happy about that. I love that move. And I'm excited about the team. All right. They still they have some work to do. They got to get starting pitching.
Yeah.
Definitely. They're going to make more moves. We just have to wait and see. I think there is a plan, and I think Stearns Cohen's going to let Stearns do mostly what he wants to do. But if Cohen wants a player, Cohen's going to get that player. We've seen that. Cohen wanted Soto. Stearns did not want Soto. So right now it looks like the Mets are a little mixed up and a little messy. But by the time spring training gets here, I think the Mets are going to be fine.
Do you think the Mets are going to lean heavy on McLean, Sprout, and Tong this year?
Um, excuse me, probably McLean. I think they're going to go for starting pitching. Um, I don't know. The McLean out of the three of those, McLean looked the best. He looks like he's ready. The other guys, I don't know. Tong looked a little. Let's face it. Tong's first game was against DeGrom at City Field, so right there you have jitters, and he looked a little like a deer in the headlights. So we have to see about him. But I think McLean's going to be fine. I think the Mets go out and get another really good starter. Um, we just have to wait and see. By the time opening day's here, it's going to be that pitching staff's going to be set.
Fair.
Yeah, I'll
So,
be
I
honest.
hope they.
uh,
I hope they. So I would ask you this, Rob. Who's a pitcher out there that you want them to get, or who do you think they might be targeting?
Somebody who pitches for the Detroit Tigers, of course.
uh,
We talk about that a lot. I
Roger
think
that.
I think you give up a Tong for him if you could get him. But if you're gonna give up a bunch of kids, hopefully they're able to sign him to a long-term deal. That's if Detroit wants to trade him. But right now, with this arbitration mess, and that's unbelievable what they offered him and what he wants. I mean, you got to give the guy more. Two-time Cy Young Award. You're putting a bad taste in his mouth. Boris is his agent. He's in his ear right now. Look, you're not important to Detroit. Look what they're offering you. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a chance that Detroit might trade him.
We have a Tigers fan on our team, and I think he's drinking heavily right now. So
Yeah.
bless his heart. We're trying to look after him. Chris, your thoughts on the Mets, but just in general, another team maybe you got in mind that's improved themselves.
Yeah, with the Mets, my only question mark is their defense on the corners now, because now you got two guys playing positions that they've never played before, and they weren't good defenders before that, right? Bichette was not a good shortstop. Now he's going to third, and Polanco was not a good whatever he was, second, short, third. Now you move him to first. I mean, these guys are not good defenders. So, um, but at least the middle is much better because now you got Simeon at second, you got Lindor still at short, and now you got Robert out in center. So the middle, up the middle is really good. The corners not so good. So we'll see how that goes because we know Soto also too in the outfield's not great. But listen, offensively they're just as good or maybe even better than last year. You can make that argument too. So. The Mets are right there, but like Rob said, I think they need another pitcher or two, and they'll be fine. But the team, I thought it too. Maybe the Cubs adding Bregman,
Yeah.
showing up their bullpen a little bit, and also, you know what, the Orioles. They added
Yeah.
Alonso.
Orioles.
Yeah, they added
Wellesley.
and
Yeah.
Helsley too. I thought Helsley was big because they needed help in that bullpen. And the trade of what's his
Ward,
name? Grayson,
Ward,
right? Rodriguez for
yeah,
Taylor
Yeah.
Ward.
mhm.
Yeah.
So that helped too. I still think they're about a pitcher short, but or two. You never have enough pitching, as we know. But those are the two teams that came to my mind real quick.
Yeah. I agree on Baltimore. That's a good one. Yeah. Nick.
For me, I might go kind of against the grain here, and I'm going to bring them back up, but that's the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
Now, you
Yeah.
traded for Brandon Lau. I get them all mixed
Follow.
up.
It's
That
all
guy.
good.
Wow, I
All
think.
good.
That
Yeah.
guy.
Anyways, he's an all-star, right? You signed Ryan O'Hearn. Now, I know this is kind of a far-fetched idea, but you are showing Paul Skeens that, hey, we have a plan. And when your free agency comes up, we're hoping to actually have a competitive team here in an NL Central that I think is still can be anybody's game. The Centrals in both leagues to me are always a coin flip on who's going to win, right? So I think the Pirates are putting them in a decent position to compete. Are they going to be top of the league? No. No, right? But it's the first step, right? They tried to go after Kyle Schwarber, didn't quite get it, right? So they made the trade. They made that first move. And Ben Sherrington knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
They have a smart GM in that office. This is the first step that the Pirates needed to make in the right direction. It's better than down, and that's where they've been going since 2015.
1979, or
Well,
excuse me,
okay,
1992.
yeah,
1992. Yeah. Sid
okay,
Yeah,
Bream
so
ended the
fair,
Pittsburgh Pirates in 1992.
that's
yeah.
right.
No,
So
that's a
there's
great
finally a direction.
that's a great point because um look, the NL Central is not like, there's not a team there. I mean, the Brewers kind of dominated a little bit last year. The Cubs are good, but it's not like it's not up in the air. The Pirates could hang in there in that division, I feel like. The Cardinals will be back eventually. The Cubs are still good, but it's not the NL East, it's not the AL East, it's not the NL West, I guess. I don't know. But I was trying to think. NL West, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I like what the Pirates have done. I just like that they did anything.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
they did something because I'm not a Pirates fan, but man, I think that fan base, I've talked to a lot of Pittsburgh fans and they're good people. They know baseball. And it's just a shame that they don't have a great team to go with that fabulous ballpark they have. So I
Yeah.
just want to see them succeed. The Reds are another team I'd like to see make some moves and get better. A traditional, kind of baseball power. What about biggest losers, guys? I would have said the Mets until recently, but they've made a couple moves. But who else do you feel like? I'm going to say the Brewers. I don't think they've done much, but we didn't really expect them to do much. Anybody else on you guys' radar as far as losers go?
I got the Phillies. Phillies,
Yeah,
what have they done?
yeah,
Right?
Agreed.
Besides
And
refund Schwarber, that's it.
yeah,
right. And they brought back JT Realmuto, who's
Yeah.
been on the decline anyway,
yeah.
for 3 more years at 15 million a year. I thought that was a little nuts. They lost Suarez. I think
That's a good
their
point.
outfield is a complete mess right now. It's probably one of the worst outfields in baseball.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I said it. I don't know if I told Rob already, but I don't think they're making the playoffs this year, the Phillies.
You did
Well,
tell
we
me.
talked
You
we talked about it last year that their window was closing, and we felt like last year was it. Like they needed to win it.
Yeah.
That core is getting older. Bryce Harper's not getting any younger, and Schwarber even. Can Schwarber keep repeating what he's doing? I don't know. Yeah, that's a great point, Rob. Excuse me,
And
Chris. Rob, what are your thoughts on the Phillies?
Oh yeah, I agree. We talk about this a lot also on our show. They haven't done anything. They looked old in the 2024 postseason against the Mets, and I said it back then. And they're only looking older. And the 3 years for Remuto, right? I think that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't get that. I mean, that's a lot of money for an aging catcher that I just feel his decline is it's just going to get worse and worse. So I think, and listen, sorry, Philly fans, I'm happy about it. You know, um, Philly
Losing
fans
Bichette,
and
right?
Met fans, right? And we stole Bichette from you.
yeah. I think there's some angst around that. Mike, we kind of talked about this last night when we recorded ours, but your thoughts on or Monday night on the Phillies, real quick.
yeah, I mean, they're not getting any younger. Like you said, Real Muto's just why spend that much money on an aging catcher? They haven't really added much. It's like you said, I wouldn't be shocked if they don't make the playoffs at all.
If they wanted to throw money down a hole to a catcher, we could have traded Sean Murphy to him and
Yep.
called it even.
Have him for,
Nick,
you can have him for a bag of balls. It's fine.
yeah, seriously. Nick, your thoughts on the Phils?
I think you guys covered it all, really. I mean, the other hole is Ranger Suarez. Like, how do you replace that? I know they're thinking it's his name's escaping me right now.
Painter,
Painter.
Yes, thank
right?
you,
Yeah,
Painter.
yeah,
Um,
Yes.
Christopher Sanchez is gonna go out and deal. That guy is filthy.
yeah,
Um, but I just the Phillies are the Brewers. They might make the first round and they get bounced. Right?
yeah,
I mean, it's been their MO. I think they're good enough to get there. The Alec Bohm situation, the Nicholas Castellanos situation, like what is that mess? Like we don't
yeah,
even know. Like I don't think they even know. Like you can't move Castellanos. His contract is an albatross for what
Yeah.
he's given you. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants him. So you just have like they're a mess. They are an absolute mess there in Philly. So
Rob, stop smiling. Cut it out. Cut it out.
yeah.
Hey, you too, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Jason,
yeah.
right?
I'm
That's
trying to be
right.
neutral. I'm
Yeah.
trying my best to be neutral, but
You're
don't
not,
I
say
you're
that
not
about
usually
me.
shedding a
try
tear
that
here
too.
for
Yeah,
the
it's
Phillies.
very difficult to keep my face.
So I'm gonna bring my biggest loser back to the AL East. I think honestly it was the Toronto Blue Jays, and I'm saying this because they were literally 2 inches away from winning a World Series. You signed, yes, you signed Dylan Cease. Great for you. This was your chance to take all the money that the Rogers family has and load up that team and control the American League for a few years. And you
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
You didn't get it done.
Mhm.
And you had a chance to put a stranglehold on the AL just like the Dodgers do in the NL. Maybe not to that level,
Yeah.
but the Blue Jays had the chance. They have the money, and they blew it. I think they blew it.
They blew it. Good. That's nice. Good
Yeah.
pun.
You like
They,
that?
I did. That was really good. Uh,
Kind of
I
like
agree
you
with
know.
you, but I will say this. I think no matter what they did, a team like that that lost like that in the championship round has an uphill battle emotionally to get back
I
to
agree.
that spot. I mean, it's just you lose like that, man. It's tough to get back. Chris, I want to get your thoughts on the Blue Jays because your team is in the AL East, but also we haven't even said the Yankees name hardly. I want to get your thoughts on the Yankees offseason and where they're at right now.
Listen, their main objective was to bring back Bellinger, right? And they were waiting for him. They gave him that offer back in November, basically, and it was like, listen, this is our best offer, and we're not gonna get into a bidding war, and that's what we heard the last 2 months. They're
Yeah,
not getting into a bidding war with anybody, and obviously nobody was going to give him. He was looking for 7 years, right? And that was the whole thing. And Yankees gave him a nice 5 year deal for a guy that's let's be honest, has been very inconsistent over the last 6 years since he won that MVP, right? So, but he's still a really good player, all around great defensive player, could play the outfield great, could play first base as well. But yeah, I mean, my biggest concern now is obviously pitching. Okay. Um, yeah, we're getting Cole back, but what condition is he going to be in? Is he going to go right back to being Garrett Cole? I don't
yeah,
know, coming back from Tommy John. Rodon, minor surgery, but how's he going to react? Our other pitchers, they're all coming off years that they threw the most innings they ever threw in their career. So how are they going to bounce back after that? I don't know.
yeah.
Freed, I'm sure, is going to be fine. But you guys know, Freed gets hurt a lot. He misses games.
He
He
does. He
didn't
gets
miss
blisters
one.
a lot.
He didn't
Yeah,
miss one start last year.
yeah,
So
yeah.
does that mean he's going to miss
He's
a bunch
due.
this year? I don't
He's
know.
due.
So
Right, exactly.
so a
So,
que Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I'm sorry. You could go. I
Oh,
was,
I
yeah.
just have a question for you. So we've talked about the Trent Grisham qualifying offer debacle, right? As outside fans looking at that, like you gave that guy a $19 million a year raise and expect him to turn it down? I mean, yes, he had a career year, right? 35 homers, I think, something like that. Was that the Yankees' kind of downfall going into the offseason, do you feel?
I think I think that kind of made their plans go in a different direction, right? Because listen, if he did, let's say if he declined it, and I think right now he's probably kicking himself in the butt with all the money that's being thrown around that he didn't turn it down because he probably would have got more than that money, right? But from the Yankee side, I think that definitely threw a little bit of a wrench, but they still needed to find a center fielder. Maybe they spent a little bit more than they wanted to. Maybe they could have signed Bader, to be their center fielder for the year. But listen, they got Grisham once again playing on a 1 year deal, playing for a contract. So I don't think it's I don't think it's as bad as what some people, were saying it was because they still needed a center fielder, right?
Sure.
They still needed to bring back Bellinger. And they didn't let anybody go, or they didn't not sign another center fielder because they got Grisham, right? There was I don't know if there was really other options out there. So that was the good thing. I think waiting for Bellinger was there wasn't really any other options out there. But now I think they still need some pitching help, especially in the bullpen because they lost Devin Williams and they lost Weaver. Neither one pitched that well last season, but they still need to replace them, right? They also lost Mark Leiter. He didn't pitch well either, but they really didn't replace these guys in the bullpen. And that's where I think they could use some help. And for, if we want to go deeper, probably a fourth outfielder. I know they got Jason Dominguez, but I don't think he's a good, player for a fourth outfield position because he's not a good defender right now and he can hit he can hit right-handed. He's a switch hitter, but he's horrible right-handed right now. I just think he needs more development. Maybe he's better off playing every day down in AAA, or he's going to be traded. And I think they're going to look for another, fourth outfield, like a veteran type guy. I would love to get Bader, but he probably wants to start, so I doubt if they're going to get him. But we'll see. But otherwise, I'm okay with the Yankees. Listen, they won 94 games last year, the same as Toronto. And I think they scored the most runs last season with their offense. So considering, the bottom half of that lineup was horrendous at times, right? With Volpe, Wells, when Ryan McMahon came by, came over in the trade. I mean, they weren't that good, but they still ended up having one of the best offenses in the league and winning 94 games. And they didn't have their ace last season. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So,
if so if you
Chris,
turn in everything positive, yeah, they could be just as good or better than last year. I don't think so, but I'm sure that's
Chris,
how they
to
look at
Nick's
it.
point about the Blue Jays, do you still look at Toronto as the team you got to beat, or
Absolutely. They
yeah,
won a division, right?
yeah,
And they were 2 outs away from winning the World Series, beating the
yeah,
Dodgers. So yeah, absolutely. They're the team, but there's other teams. We mentioned Baltimore. We didn't
yeah,
mention Boston. I think Boston is looking really
I
good
was,
too. So
yeah.
but yeah, Toronto's still the team to beat. I mean, no matter what, they're the American League champs. They were 2 outs away from winning the World Series. So yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Good stuff, guys. Like, I don't want to keep everybody too long. We're over now. We could do this all night, right? I mean, this is
Mhm.
fantastic. Um, can I get a commitment? We're gonna do this again, like
I'm
especially
Yeah.
in.
before the season, because I think it'd be really fun to get everybody's
Definitely.
predictions.
Yeah,
You
maybe
guys
like a
Yeah.
up for
preview
that?
show.
Maybe in mid March, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
in.
down.
Yeah,
yeah,
Count
that'd
us
be
sounds
in.
great.
good.
Yeah, I mean, we could go longer if you guys want to, but I'm the one who has to edit this. So, the
Yeah.
longer it goes, the more
Well, it's your
I gotta.
call. I can talk all night. Our shows are usually 2.5 hours long, so it's up to
Yeah, no, I
you.
mean, look, I'm not at all bored or anything. We're having a great conversation here, but it's gonna take me a while to edit out all Nick's stuff and just keep it to us three. But
That's fair. I get it. I get it. I get it.
no, this is exactly what I envisioned, guys. Just guys talking baseball. It's good stuff. Anything anybody else
Great.
wants to bring up before? I got one question I'm going to end on that I've been asking people. I just want to ask it, but you guys got anything before we wrap it?
I just want to say, like, when I started our podcast, I never envisioned this. This what
Yeah,
we're doing right now. I had
no,
never envisioned this 4 years ago, right? I thought it
yeah,
was just me and Harrison gonna talk to nobody on the internet. No one was gonna listen. I
yeah,
never envisioned this community and what we have all done together, what we're going to build, what we continue to do. Like
yeah,
this is absolutely incredible. And if you
yeah,
are any type of baseball fan at all, I don't care if you're casual, diehard, whatever, like this space is for you. It's a safe space for everybody. I tell that to everybody on my page, no matter
absolutely.
who you're a fan of. Like, I love what we're all doing. And I just want to say thank you to you guys because you guys are all incredible. And it's blown my mind that this tight baseball creator community has come together and we're
Yeah,
not like button heads or anything. Like it's awesome.
it's great stuff. I'll echo all of that and thank you guys as well for being a part of this. And my page was born out of a desire to bring baseball fans together because I was tired of being on pages where it was all trash talk. And
Yep.
there's a place for that, I suppose. But I just wanted everybody, even Mets fans, even Mets fans to
Even
feel
Yankee. Think
welcome.
about where we're sitting here. We got
Yeah,
Braves fans, we got a Red Sox fan,
yeah,
yeesh, we got a
yeah.
Yankee fan, and we got a Met fan, right? So
You guys are in New York, right? Like that's
yeah,
a magical place to me. I've never been. Okay, so
Yeah,
it's like I'm not
really.
even sure it's real. It's like Oz. Okay,
I don't think you really
I'm
want
in
to go.
I wouldn't say it's Oz, no.
I'm in Southeast Alabama. Currently I'm in Pensacola,
Nah.
Florida, but I live in Southeast Alabama, guys. So
Okay,
yeah, but no, hey, look, my son moved to Boston last year, so I'll be heading up that way to visit
cool.
him to see Fenway.
Boston's
So
beautiful.
New
That's
York's
awesome.
not that far away. Maybe I can get to Yankee Stadium
Yep.
or City Field. I won't wear my Brave stuff, Rob. I'll come incognito. I won't wear
Hey,
my Brave
Okay.
Jason,
stuff.
let us know if you're in New York. We'll meet up
Yeah,
at the game or
absolutely, man.
something. Yeah,
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, good
Definitely.
stuff, guys. And again, just to echo Nick's sentiments, we need to keep doing this. I think fans are going to like this. You've got four smart people talking ball and me, so I think it's good stuff, and we should do it.
Three and you and me.
Okay, all right, fair enough, Mike. But yeah, I think it'd be great if we did like a preview show and everybody give their predictions because it sounds like we already have some
Yeah.
preconceived notions about where we think things are headed. So
Definitely.
this was great. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to end it with our traditional sign off. We thank all our listeners. We'll be back with you soon. And in the meantime, we'll see you at the ballpark.